we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
Good morning, Sac City. Welcome in to another edition of the Sac City Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by my best friend in the whole entire world. He is Aaron, the Mukesiah Mukes. It is a beautiful October 31st morning. Happy Halloween here in the city. Episode 109 is about to kick off. Week 8 is almost out of here. Sunday's action was full of excitement, a lot of ups, a lot of downs that we're going to get into on this show. If you're looking for your team's recap, it will be available on our YouTube page tomorrow morning or tomorrow for your viewing pleasure, to make sure you can keep up with your team's action. We are here for you. But today, on today's show, we are going to be breaking down some of the action from week 8, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Aaron, how was your Sunday?
It was good. It was good. It was a lot of good football action, a lot of bad football action, but it was good. Yeah, I didn't do anything. I actually stayed at home and watched the games, and so that was nice. Had a day off, so that was cool.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. That's a good Sunday when you don't have much to do. You can just sit back, watch some good and bad football. It sounds like a good day. But it is Halloween, Aaron, and I'm going to do an impromptu little Halloween question of the day for you before we get into our headlines, before we get into everything. Halloween is spooky season and it's scary season. If you were to compare, and this I've seen this people doing this before, I'm going to do it on our show. Comparing candy to teams. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the idea of this, okay? You take a team or a player and compare it to a candy. So like my favorite candy is Reese's. Who is my Reese's of the NFL? That would be who's the best right now. It would be the Bills. The Bills are the best. It's the go-to. It's the number one, this and that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know I was finishing something, but yeah, it makes sense, Vinny. I have a degree, Vinny. I'm the valedictorian, Vinny.
Oh, so you have a degree. This man said he has a degree. That's what he went with. Okay, all right. What team is that candy that you do not want to get, you do not want to see, you do not want anything to do with on Halloween? Oh no, he's frozen.
I didn't hear the question because I froze. This is a great start to a great show.
Hell of a start. Good thing people are now starting to file in. What is what team or player would you compare to the candy that you just do not want to get on Halloween? You can tell me what candy that is on Halloween, by the way.
Okay, yeah. So I don't do coconut. Coconut's not a thing over here. So an almond joy is not happening. It's not it. An almond joy is not it. It's the worst of the worst. When you see it in your Halloween bag when you're trick or treating, you just don't want to. You don't want to watch it. You don't want to have it in your bag. You just want to throw it out. Well, that's the New England Patriots for me, and they won, right? And they won, and I predicted them to win. But watching them play football is like I said before, watching paint dry, and I just don't want to see it. They lose Monday night. They come back yesterday, and they beat the Jets, and we'll get into that game eventually, but. Yeah, it's the New England Patriots. They're my almond joy. They're the team that I don't care to watch. They have nothing exciting about them except Bailey Zappi, and he was on the sideline. So I just don't have any interest in entertaining Bailey Zappi and the New England Patriots and Mac Jones and Bill Belichick in my candy bag. So I'm throwing them out.
All right. I do enjoy some almond joys, so I'm not on board with you on that one, to be completely honest. But before I get to the next question, I do want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat watching at home, viewing this. Let us know what your answers are to these questions. Let us know your Halloween favorites. All right. There's always the underrated candy that you get in your bag. Sometimes it's like for me, it was always when someone throws like in pretzels or something like that, a bag of like chips or something. It's always like an underrated thing to me. I do enjoy that. Like, I don't want my bag full of pretzels and chips, but like I do enjoy when someone surprises me with like a little salty snack like that. What is your surprise thing in the NFL going on. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a team. It can be a player. It can be anything along those lines. You are in full control. What's that one surprise in the bag that you like to get on Halloween?
Well, first of all, I want to talk to Mrs. Milani. I don't know how she raised you the way she did. You like almond joys and you want pretzels in your candy bag? Like you're a weird. You're a weirdo. Like nobody wants to go trick-or-treating with Vinny. Okay, like let's just go there. Anyways, for me, like the most underrated thing I loved as a kid, and you don't get them in your candy bag, and you get them sometimes now, is Pez. I don't know if you guys remember Pez, but Pez was like the coolest thing in the world when you were a little kid. But it's like slightly underrated because it's really not nothing, but it's really good. I think that's the Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith all in one. I think they're the Pez of the NFL. They're the team that we like. We're actually rooting for now, right? We like it, but at the end of the day, you look at their roster, you look at what they're doing, and you're like, it's cool. Like it's a great story. It's nice to find some Pez in your candy bag, but it's not moving the needle on Halloween if you don't get it, right? So if we don't get Seattle on Sundays and get to watch them play football, we're not crying. But if they're on, hey, we're gonna pay attention to it. So we're gonna pull that Pez out of our candy bag and we're gonna see which we got, which wrappers over it, and we're gonna eat it. So the Seahawks did it again, and they're my Pez of the Halloween.
The Seahawks. There's the hard-hitting analysis right there. The Seahawks are your Pez of the NFL. Just a little pull the curtain back note, by the way. StreamYard now allows videos that don't have to go from have that awkward transition in between. I can go from video to video and it not jump. Remember how it would jump? Yeah. It doesn't jump anymore. Sorry. Very exciting. Last but not least, you get the big candy bar. The big candy bar on Halloween. That was always my thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here on my Halloween things because I obviously the salty snacks are not a fan favorite. But my favorite thing on Halloween was getting those big candy bars. Like there was always one house in the cul-de-sac that you would go to every Halloween. We kick it off going to that house, giving us the giant Hershey bars or Reese's bars or whatever it was. Like it was great.
Yeah.
What's your go-to candy for Halloween that you're excited to get in the bag, and who is that NFL team?
I'm like you. There's one thing you did get right. Reese's is the greatest candy alive. So there's no debate there. And when you get like the one that's like half the size and you get 2 cups in it, that's cool. Like that's fun. Better than the little cups. But when you get that big long one that has 4 Reese's cups in it, that's like you just hit the lottery. Like you just hit the lottery. You're like, this is what I want my entire candy bag to be. I want to watch this every week. And in the NFL right now, that's the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't care that the Buffalo Bills won. I don't care that the Buffalo Bills are the best team in football. There is no more exciting team, no more team that just brings out the best in Halloween like the Kansas City Chiefs. As a matter of fact, it's an absolute shame that the NFL would let the Kansas City Chiefs not be playing the day before Halloween so we can enjoy that wonderful king-size Reese's Lord of Mahomes walk-on water style candy in our candy bag. For me, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the most fun team to watch in the NFL because they do it in so many different ways. It's not just the passing game. It's the running game. It's the style of defense in which they play, which sometimes is successful and sometimes it's not, but they're always blitzing. As good as Buffalo is, I hate to say this, guys, but sometimes Buffalo can be very boring, especially on the defensive side of the football, because they sit back in that shell defense and they let you run the ball like they let the Green Bay Packers run the ball yesterday, but they know they can't go 80 yards and score. That ain't happening in Kansas City. Kansas City gonna come after you, and then you got the Lord himself. We all go on Sundays, and I pray every day to number 15. He's just that good. And the things he can do are similar to what Josh Allen can do. Maybe not in the running game, but with his arm, it's spectacular. And they have so many guys that can do it. It's got to be the Kansas City Chiefs. My king size, 4-cup Reese's candy.
Hey, you can't go wrong with it. You really can't. I just thought of one. It could be a quick hit. It's a great idea, and I do not want it to go. I know we've got a show to get to. We've got a time limit. We've got restrictions here. We've got things to do. But who's the fraud? Who's wearing the mask in the NFL? Who's the fraud? Who's the?
Oh, we know who that is. It's the Tennessee Titans. Titans.
My
Tennessee Titans. We know this. Tennessee Titans
every
fans
year.
be annoyed at me. But we talked about this. You said yesterday, this is why, to me on the chat, this is why Malik Willis should start. I said, I don't know, but I agree with you. Malik Willis should start. We didn't get to see much yesterday, but they won the game. And how they win the game? Because it was on the back of Derrick Henry. They're frauds. That's all they can do. That is what carries them. When they play a good team, in the playoffs, when it matters the most, they're going to shut down Derrick Henry and force a quarterback to beat you, and you're going to lose the game. And that's every team in the NFL that's going to be in the playoffs. They know what, because teams will let you do what they try to do. But in the playoffs, they're going to take it away. And then when they take it away, you have nothing left. They are the biggest frauds. They are wearing the mask. They are the trick of trick-or-treating.
Gotcha. That would have been a good way for me to present that. Who's the trick in the NFL and who's the treat? And the Chiefs would have been the treat and the Titans would have been the trick. That does it. Everyone enjoy your Halloween. If you have kids, make sure everyone is safe. Make sure in a crazy time that we're in, and I never heard of this until not recently, but make sure you're checking the bags, making sure your kids are not eating something that they're not supposed to. Make sure your children are safe on Halloween, not going into sketchy, crazy areas. Parents, be safe going to your parties, or adults, be safe going to your parties, and everyone have a very good Halloween. Let's get into our morning headline.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for some morning headlines from week 8, and I wanted to start things off with the most recent thing that happened. And it happened last night, a battle between Stephon Diggs and Jair Alexander. First of all, it's a shame that they all have to come out of the same tunnel. Like, that's just a travesty. They're going to have hopefully two separate tunnels in the new Bill Stadium, but they come out of the same tunnel. Jair Alexander, Stephon Diggs getting a shouting match. Apparently, and Jair Alexander came out and said that he basically called him a boy, and he said he basically just doesn't want the smoke to Stephon Diggs. And then Stephon Diggs went on to have a great day, over 100 yards against the Green Bay Packers, and the Bills I don't want to say smoke. They won 27-17 on Sunday Night Football. Aaron, your reaction to Diggs versus Alexander, and really the reaction to a quick reaction to Bills Packers.
Yeah, I don't have much on Diggs and Alexander. I think they're both great players. I think Alexander's one of the premier corners in this league. And if you actually go back and watch that game, it wasn't like Diggs was torching Alexander. Alexander didn't follow Diggs around. There were times Alexander was on other guys. He was on Gabe Davis a lot. Him and Stephon Diggs did battle a few times, but it wasn't like Diggs was just out there torching him. And vice versa. It wasn't like Jair Alexander was just locking down Diggs. It was just a good matchup between two players, and they were talking shit. I don't get all hyped up for this kind of stuff because I don't care that they come out of the same tunnel. These are football players, professional football players at that. I like it. Make them come out of the same tunnel. Let them talk their shit. Who cares? It's football. This is what football is supposed to be about. When we talk about the entertainment factor of the NFL, that's the entertainment factor. Forget the game. Like, we watch the game, we want to see who wins, but the entertainment factor is the matchups. Them going talking back and forth. And as long as it doesn't go over the line and cross the line, then who cares? Let them talk their shit. They got a few chips in on there. Gabe Davis hit Jair Alexander from behind, got a personal foul. They were battling. Who cares? That's football. Sometimes I think we react to these things as media, as fans, and we just make it bigger than what it actually needs to be. This is a highly competitive sport between two elite competitors, and they were battling back and forth. And I'm sure at the end of the day, when the dust settles, they may not like each other. They may not like hang out with each other, but I know that both of them have respect for each other as players, because they both have done, great things in this league. So it was fun.
What did you this is another little headline from that game. Quay Walker got ejected for shoving a Buffalo Bills Buffalo Bills practice squad player on the sidelines. What did you make of this? Just kind of
the rule's stupid. I mean, you shouldn't, just because if somebody is going to touch you and you push them, I don't care what he was trying to do. I don't care that he was trying to help him up. If somebody's going to touch you and you push them back, I'm not sure an ejection was warranted in that situation, but I get the rule. You got to be smarter than that if you're Quay Walker. So He broke the rules. He got what, he knows the rules. But I don't love the rule. I think that was very minor compared to some things that I've seen that haven't got, ejections. That's not and whoever that guy is, they just assumed it was a coach, or they just assumed it was somebody.
It was a practice squad. It was a tight end on their practice squad. I can't remember his name.
Well, it wasn't even a coach, which is the rule, right?
Correct.
They should be able to verify who that individual is before you just eject somebody from the football game.
Yeah, it was. I'm getting it back now. We found it last night. It was. Come on, where is it? We had it yesterday. I'll have to find it again. I don't care
who it is. To be honest,
it was a practice squad tight end. Yeah, it was a practice squad tight end. We found it yesterday, and it was like, oh, it wasn't even a coach, and it was just a mess. Yeah, I'm on board with you. Quay Walker definitely would have been a big help for that team while losing to the Buffalo Bills. Not sure if it would have been the difference maker in a win on a loss, but he would have been a big help. I'm just gonna brush over the rest of the headlines. We're gonna talk about the rest of these games in a little bit when we recap them and we talk winners, losers, and that. Let's get into. Do you have an injury report today? Is there?
Yeah, I do. It's not a huge one. I'm gonna go through some of the teams and what some of the stuff that happened over.
Got it. Let's make it happen.
Hey, you know what time it is. It's time for that injury report. Not a whole lot of craziness here, but I did want to touch on some of the injuries that we saw over this past week. I'm going to start actually on Thursday night. Gus Edwards, they say that the hamstring injury, it's described as minor. So if he does miss some time, it's only going to be maybe a week or so. That's good news. Last night, we saw Jordan Poyer towards the end of the game have that wrap on his elbow. He was ruled questionable, did not return. I thought that was a big loss for Buffalo as they go forward. There's a chance they could be without him for some time. Tonight's game, Eli Apple is doubtful with a hamstring injury. He's been doubtful since last week. He hasn't been practicing, so they might need to be looking for some back-end help for the Cincinnati Bengals. What else do we have? Oh, there was a lot of injuries in the Dallas Cowboys game. Both Donovan Wilson and Anthony Barr left that game. Also, Jaron Kearse left that game. So they have some questions there. Again, we don't have a lot of information this morning on some of these injuries and what that means long term, but just some names to keep your eye out for as we move forward. Also in that Sunday night football game, Devondre Campbell left. Christian Watson left. Hamstring injury for Watson. He was active for the game, and then it looks like he was ruled out with a concussion after his very first touch. The man seems to be made of glass. I don't know, but it's a lot. Devondre Campbell had a knee injury. We saw him limping off the field. He left that game. Big time injuries there for the Green Bay Packers. What else did we have? It wasn't too many significant injuries that I'm thinking of. Oh, Cooper Kupp, obviously. We saw the ankle injury late. Sean McVay came out and said, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I had him out there. It was an ankle injury. He says he feels pretty good, but there has to be some concern there, obviously, with Cooper Kupp. It's a big-time player for the Rams. It's like their only player. Matter of fact, they have the Los Angeles Cups.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker left with a knee injury. Mark Ingram for the Saints left with a knee injury. So big time injuries there. And then Richie James for the Giants, another wide receiver, had a concussion. He ended up leaving that game and did not return. So more Giants wide receiver issues. And they'll have to figure out where they want to go to replace those guys.
That's a team that's not getting talked about enough in terms of a possible trade for a wide receiver by the deadline. Lots of teams are getting brought up. Packers, Chiefs, Ram. Like there's a lot of teams getting brought up to bring in a wide receiver at the deadline. And the Giants should be on that list. They should go out and go get a wide receiver. Not really, and not even necessarily a wide receiver that's just a rental for this year. Invest in. I mean, this is a good time
to invest. They got Kenny Galladay. They just paid $80 million too.
That's a thing. I forgot that was a thing. Well, don't invest in a wide receiver, but do trade for one so you can help Daniel Jones out this year and maybe make a surprise run for something in the NFC. Good shit on the injury report. Let's get into our Week 8 talk, though. Week 8 reactions here, Aaron. Your biggest takeaway from what we saw on Week 8 was what?
The Raiders aren't who we thought they were. And it's for multiple reasons. Number one, actually, you know what? I'm going to generalize this. That my biggest takeaway, that is very true. But I'm going to say this one more time. That coaches in the NFL have to be the most stubborn, ignorant people on the planet Earth. Like, I'm not knocking any of their abilities or to coach a game or to know football. This is not about knowing football. It's just about visualizing, seeing what works, and then doing that. We watch it with the good teams in the NFL. You watch it with Philadelphia. You watch it with Kansas City. You watch it with Buffalo. Honestly, you've watched it with Dallas this year. You've watched it with the 49ers. Something works, and you continue to do it. Something works, and you continue to do it. I can't say how annoyed it is to watch the Philadelphia Eagles on every 3rd and 4th and 1, just run up to the line of scrimmage, have somebody right behind Jalen Hurts, and they run the stupid quarterback sneak and have the guy behind them push him. It's annoying, but it works. So they continue to do it. And that's the point, is the ignorance of the NFL and the coaches outsmarting themselves when it's very, very simple. You need 1 yard, get 1 yard. You need 2 yards, get 2 yards for the first down to continue that drive. They all try to overthink it. And so I'm watching the Raider game, and I'm like, here we go again. You fall behind, and then by a little bit, and then you go away from the running game, and you have nothing on offense. And Derek Carr looks like poo-poo. And so Josh Jacobs doesn't get the ball. When we've watched for 4 weeks, when Josh Jacobs gets the ball, things are good. So he struggles early, so they stop running, and then it goes downhill from there. So, and vice versa. I'm watching the Green Bay Packers. I'm watching the Chicago Bears. I'm watching the Atlanta Falcons, and I don't care that they won. I was very disappointed in some of these teams again. Falcons played a little bit better, but running the football in the 4th quarter with 6 minutes left, down by 20 or whatever, like, you've given up. To me, that's what it feels like. You've told your team that we don't believe we can move the ball throwing in the air, and we're milking the clock because we can't protect our quarterback, that's what it tells me. And it tells me that you don't have the personnel and that you can't get something done. And to me, despite whether you're successful or not successful, that's not the point. Like, I don't like quitters, man. And I'm watching the Bears, and they come all the way back. Dallas scores again, and then they're up 20 or 18 again, and the Bears are running the ball on 1st and 2nd down. And I get it, they had some success doing it, but Dallas wants you to do that. They want you to run the ball, because every time you run the ball, another 30 seconds goes off the clock, and you're down by 20. The urgency wasn't there. I saw it in the Green Bay Packer game last night. It's just so bizarre how I can watch the game as a fan, analyst, whatever, and I can say, we're down 18. We need to speed this up. And a coach can't see that. And their knowledge about games and stuff like that. I don't like doing it because I've been a coach and I know what it entails. And most time fans don't know. But as somebody that's been a coach,
you do know certain things.
I just don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I've brought this up probably every week since the beginning of the season. Just coaches just overcomplicating systems, and when I say it, it's more so towards the quarterback position, like we see with certain quarterbacks, like maybe Carson Wentz or Baker Mayfield or Ryan Tannehill, quarterbacks like that, where it's like, okay, the game plan is one thing, but then when the backup comes in, even with the Cowboys, and we're seeing it with the Cowboys now, that they're actually keeping that same style that they had with Cooper Rush, where it's like, okay, if one quarterback is in, it's let it fly, like just go do whatever you want, and then you lose these games. And when another quarterback is in, it's simple, smart football, and it works, but it's just having 2 different game plans. It's just stick to what works. And with the Raiders specifically, you get shut. That is getting shut out is just not a thing. Like, that's not acceptable. And a team that is battling to try and claw their way back into a playoff spot, a team that we thought would actually do that. I mean, you can't be losing games. You're at a point right now where, like, you cannot lose games, because you're just pushing yourself further behind in the AFC, where there's some surprise teams putting their name in the hat for playoff spots, including teams like the Jets. Like, that's a team that's being smart with certain things. Although they lost this past week, they're being smart in certain situations where these teams like the Raiders, it's just, what works.
You bring up the Jets. They were on that list yesterday. Go look at the numbers. They didn't run the ball. Like, and this is what we talked about with them. That I know we're going to get into our game recaps later tonight, and we're going to have those out for everybody. But they did the same exact thing as the Raiders. They did not run the ball enough. They were in a game that was really close. They had Zach Wilson out there trying to be hero ball, and I didn't understand it. You lost Breece Hall. We understand you lost Breece Hall, but you went out and got James Robinson. Run right, run left. You got Tyler Johnson. Like, you got Michael Carter. Like, you have backs you can hand the ball to, and instead you try to force Zach Wilson into doing something to do. They ran the ball 15 times as a team. Michael Carter got 7 carries. 7 carries. He hasn't had 7 carries. He's had more than 7 carries every game this year. Like, why you lose Breece Hall, I understand, but what have you been doing to be successful? You've been running the football. So give the ball to Michael Carter, give the ball to James Robinson, punt, play good defense. And instead you tell Zach Wilson, nope, we need you to be something different today than you've been all year. And now you're going to go force him to throw the ball 41 times. And what happens? He throws 3 picks. Like, but you've been successful doing it. Like, it's the running back position. How many times have we seen backup running backs come in and have good games? Just give them the ball.
And Michael Carter, you've seen it before. You've seen it, and James Robinson, you've seen it before. These guys are not just backup running backs, that they can ball out when given the opportunity. Let me kind of piggyback off of something, and it's not under the same realm as stop outsmarting your system. But it's an overall assessment, and I don't want to do it during our game recaps because it's multiple teams, multiple quarterbacks. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. The term bust has been thrown out there 2 seasons in from a lot of people, from fans. And there's lots of concerns with these 3 quarterbacks. Where are we at with the where are you at on a level head, even kill? You have no dog in the fight. You're not a Jags fan. You're not a Bears fan. You're not a Jets fan. You are an even party here. What's your overall assessment of these year 2 quarterbacks?
Well, first, I'm not judging them that way. Like, I think most fans judge them that way. None of them can be labeled as a bust right now. That's the first thing you could say. They haven't been benched. They haven't been forced to the sideline. I can go in order. Zach Wilson's missed time with injury. Zach Wilson is probably, I would say, the furthest behind when it comes to developing as a passer, in my opinion, because I thought he'd be further ahead here, but he did miss some time to start the season. I want to see more from him. I would say right now he has the most work to do. Justin Fields, I think, is a very dynamic player, and I think he has the ability to be great. I just think they haven't used him appropriately, and I will say the last couple of games they've used him in a way where he can be successful, and I think you're seeing it. I think you're seeing they run the ball with them, they allow him to get open, rolling out, get into space, and it works. With Trevor Lawrence, I think Trevor Lawrence is on his way to being a great NFL quarterback. And I say that, and I know Jaguars fans don't want to hear that, but we often forget. We talk about this with Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett, Alex Smith having 7 offensive coordinators. Trevor Lawrence is a young player in this league, came into a situation that was not healthy. Let's be honest. It was like a bad, toxic relationship with Urban Meyer. New system now with Doug Peterson. Every single game, the Jaguars are right there. Yeah. And we keep pointing at the last interception that Trevor Lawrence throws or 1 yard short against the Giants. They also have a young defense, which has given up the lead late in every single game that they've lost. They've given up a late lead and put Trevor Lawrence in that situation. And what did I keep saying over this year? They will lose those games this year because they are young. Trevor Lawrence will throw the picks when he shouldn't. He will, but you know what? That's the experience he needs. So labeling them busts, I think, is just too early. Everybody wants Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
We did this with Josh Allen. We did this exact same thing with Josh Allen. Year 1, he looked like a mess, inaccurate, turning the football over, trying to play hero ball, and everybody's like, Josh Allen's not it. Now Josh Allen's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like,
yeah.
And that was year 3 when Josh Allen really took the jump.
And this has been my big takeaway, and just trying to process the thoughts of, like, I mean, we saw our very own Dylan Curtin's post on Facebook the other day that Trevor Lawrence ain't it. And I can only speak from a Jaguars and Jets side of things, because I'm around a lot of Jets fans, around a lot of Jaguar fans that are all there's so many of them out on their quarterbacks, and I'm just thinking, okay, like, where is the line between just an overreacting fan and reality? And it's to the point where it's like, okay, we talked about, like, one of the biggest things when we talk about, like, a Baker Mayfield, who we're labeling pretty much as a bust at this point. We're like, okay, he was the first overall pick. He has these high expectations. Trevor Lawrence has these high expectations. Zach Wilson has these high expectations. And through year 2, Zach Wilson has been hurt. Trevor Lawrence had a mess of a system in year 1. It's like, okay, that's your reasoning. That's your excuse for year 1. When do we stop making the excuses for these quarterbacks? And when do we come?
Though.
No, I'm not
excuses.
I'm not saying that they are. I'm just, like I said, my takeaway from one of my biggest takeaways from week 8 is trying to find the line between overreacting fan and reality of where these year 2 quarterbacks stand.
Well, fans are always going to overreact because they're fans. And I keep saying this, and it's not really an insult. Fans are dumb, and they're dumb to the fact of they don't know what it takes to play quarterback in the NFL. They don't know what it takes to play quarterback in any league for the most part. Like, most fans have never put on a uniform. They don't know what it takes to be a franchise quarterback. How are you judging somebody when you don't know what it takes? You don't know what the abilities you need. The fact of the matter is we do this all the time. Baker Mayfield comes out, we anoint him. And Baker Mayfield played great. Year 3, takes them playoffs, wins the playoff game. Oh, whatever. He's good. He's the number 1 pick. A year later, they trade for 2 years later, they trade for Deshaun Watson and trade Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield gets benched in Carolina. Now we're back. Now we're calling him a bust after he had success. So we can't make up our mind as fans. We want to change just because things happen. Yeah, things do happen. But the fact of the matter is, Zach Wilson was 5-2. The Jets were 5-2 before they lose to the Patriots yesterday. And Zach Wilson has a bad game. If he doesn't throw 3 picks and they win that game, nobody's talking about Zach Wilson this morning as a bust. So we're so reactive. We're so in the moment. We're so recency biased. It's laughable. Trevor Lawrence was great after week 3. Oh yeah, we see it. Oh yeah. Now he's not. Now he's not it. Yeah. Like, stop. Like, all you're doing is this generation. They skip the process. They skip they get drafted. We're going to skip everything in between what it takes to become a good quarterback process. What's the end result? And the end result right now has been losing. So it's this to this, and they don't understand. They're not looking at the process. The fact of the matter is there is a process you have to go through to be a great NFL quarterback. Stop comparing every quarterback that comes out to the best of the best. And that's Patrick Mahomes, who's really the only one that you can say came out year 1 and looked like, damn, that's a franchise quarterback. The minute he stepped on the football field. Yeah. Everybody else had to learn.
Trust the process. That's where it's at right now, is trusting where trusting the development. And you have to kind of look at that first year for some of these quarterbacks as a wash. So, but that does it for our biggest takeaways for week 8. We are going to get into our week 8 recaps in our separate videos. We're going to end the live stream now, go into the lab, start pumping these out. And they'll be available for your viewing pleasure on YouTube. Whatever team you're a fan of, we are going to have that video and that game recap clipped for your viewing pleasure on our YouTube page at the Sac City Pod. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at the Sac City Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. We're everywhere, man. We're taking over the world at Sack City Pod. Be sure to hit that subscribe. Be sure to hit that like. Be sure to share. Tell your friends. Tomorrow, we'll be back again live at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, recapping the Monday Night Football game and talking about and having a fantasy show. It's the fantasy drive tomorrow with our all new setup that features week 9 rankings. That'll feature waiver wire ads. A whole lot of fantasy talk. We're upping our fantasy game on Tuesday mornings, so there is no place you'd rather be than here in the city. For my best friend Aaron Mukes,
wait. I do have to go, but you sent me this DK thing. Are we doing that really quick?
I did. We can if you want to do it on the show. I was just going to run out. We can do it really quick.
I already got my team.
Great. Fantastic. Okay. So in a surprise turn of events, the show is not over. Hold the phones, hold the press, stop the printing, alert the media. It's time to get into our DraftKings special between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football. If you are new to the show, first of all, welcome. Second of all, every primetime game, Monday and Thursday Night Football, I should say, we do our daily DraftKings showdown. We invite 100 people to our DraftKings, and we see who can be the best. And it's been tough sledding for everybody. No one that we know has been able to be number one. Aaron, you finished the highest last week in our DFS. What's your lineup looking like this week for Browns-Bengals?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know if it's going to be defensive or offensive, but I love T. Higgins as my captain, so that's who my captain is. I think he has a big day here. I think he has to be in your lineup. I actually have both wide receivers for Cincinnati in my lineup, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, and I combination with that having Joe Burrow in there. Harrison Bryant is my kind of I guess you want to say sleeper play. He's a tight end for the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to throw him in my lineup. I'm going to put in Evan McPherson, also the kicker for the Bengals, just to have some kicker love in there. The real question comes down to who that last spot is. I have about $11,000. I'm gonna put in Nick Chubb. I don't love the matchup for Nick Chubb, but I think he gets the touchdowns if they get near the goal line, and I don't want to not have him in my lineup. So I have T. Higgins, captain, Tyler Boyd, Harrison Bryant, Joe Burrow, Nick Chubb, and Evan McPherson.
All right, not a bad team, not a bad squad there. I am obviously still, as you can see on the screen, just trying to maneuver my team and make sure I have the best lineup possible. I currently have Joe Mixon as my captain. I think we're gonna see a little bit of a shift. I know T. Higgins is going to be a big factor now that Jamar Chase is out, but I think Joe Mixon's role is going to expand a little bit more. So I do have Mixon. I do have Higgins. I have Amari Cooper on the other side. I will be adding Tyler Boyd as well. I think he's going to be a big part to this team, and I have a good chunk of change left, and I think I'll probably I will. I'll go double kickers here. I'm going to go with. Oh, man, I have a lot of money left over, but this is DFS. I'm just going to update this entry, and we're going to get a roll in. Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Evan McPherson, Tyler Boyd, and Cade York are on my team. That does it for our DFS showdown. We'll be back, like I said, again tomorrow, live at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, bringing you all the fantasy content and recapping the Monday Night Football game between the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. I think both of us had the Bengals in this one. Let us know who you have in the chat. Until tomorrow, though, when we're recapping, we will see you then. For my best friend, Aaron Mukes, I am me. Goodbye.
Peace out.